Hey, fellow Bond fans. So, no Time to Die. It's finally here. It has happened. I've seen it. What a roller coaster that was. So, on Twitter we've all said we're not going to spoil the film for the people who haven't seen it. Hashtag no time for spoilers and all of that. But I just need to let it out. Come on. So these completely unhinged thoughts will be spoiler filled. Warning, there will be spoilers, definite spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film and you don't want to be spoiled, click away now, immediately. Right, still there? I don't know where to begin. Well, of course, the logical starting point would be at the end, right? If this is just truly a spoiler-filled review, or my thoughts, and then I should start at the end, and then I should say, I can't believe they've actually done it. They've I know a lot of people were dead set against it, and you can't kill off Bond, and that's ridiculous, and they're never gonna do it, and all of that. I always thought if they do it, then it should have meaning, and it should be done well. And I was struggling how they would do that, how they could make it meaningful enough. Sure enough, they've found a way. They've actually found a way to kill off James Bond and make it meaningful and make sense. And I think what helps is that it isn't a sudden death. You grasp the concept of him being infected pretty early on after he's killed Safin, and from there you as an audience member you know that it is inevitable that he will sacrifice himself. And then he makes that phone call with Madeline, and I think I haven't timed it. I think it felt like 5, 10, 15 minutes. I don't know how long that scene is even, but it does a wonderful job to prepare you for the inevitable. And that is that James Bond dies in this film. And that is such a weird thing. And I remember I sat in the cinema with my hands like this. I couldn't believe them, and I'm still getting a little flustered when I'm talking about it. They've actually done it, and I think they've done it in a way that is okay. It is okay. Daniel Craig's films were always this self-contained story. And I think it's okay. That doesn't make it less devastating, because they've just killed off James Bond. It's a far cry from the 60s, where all those Bond films would open, Live Twice, Thunderball, with the death of James Bond, and it was like a fake out death. And here they've just done it for real. And I think it is a bold move. It's a very bold move. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter as much to the franchise as a whole. I read a lot of comments from people who've seen it or refuse to see it, but know that will happen. And they say, well, I refuse to see it because Bond dies, and how can you let Bond die? And I think in concept it sounds wrong, but if you see it in context of the film and in context of the Daniel Craig story, I think it's all right. It's all right for me. Bond apparently having a kid is in there as well. I wanted to touch on that as well because like the film ends with Madeleine Swan and Mathilde driving away in is it the DB5? I think it's DB5, right? And that's that I think as a last moment of the movie, I think that moment to me is less strong than what precedes, which is the toast that the MI6 regulars do to Bond. I think that is a powerful scene, and I think they could have ended the movie there. I think that would have been more powerful if they did that. Which I really love the dynamic of the Bond and the MI6 team, but whatever. I think for Bond having a child, I love the way they go back and forth with it. I mean, it's like Bond thinks it's his child, and Madeleine then says it's not his child, and then she confirms it's his. I think in the end, I think it's his. I've only seen the movie once, but yes, which sure, fine. I mean, it's in the books, so all the people say, "Oh, it's not Fleming's Bond. Bond has a kid." It is in the books, so it is Fleming. Well, but I think they got us there with the sentimental vibes of the toast, and then Louis Armstrong coming in with we've got all the time in the world. I think they played it for sentimental reasons, and I think that last moment is not as strong as the toast that the MI6 staff does. So that's the end of the film. I see. I don't know how to do this. I'm starting the review of a film with talking about the end, rather than just starting at the beginning. No, I think it's like there are a lot of things that I think they wouldn't do, and they did. Giving Bond a child, killing off Bond, and something I didn't expect as well is the traitor trope. We've seen obviously the traitor within MI6. We've seen that in the last movie with Max Denby with C. And a lot of people were complaining, and me too. I was like, well, it's obvious. The movie treats it like it's a big reveal, but it's obvious from the get-go that he's a villain. And this film also has, well, not an MI6 traitor this time around, but a CIA traitor in the form of Logan Ash. and I think they handled it better than expected, way better. I think having the reveal that he's a mole quite in the middle of the movie and not in the end, like it's a big thing at the end, I think that works. That it really works to have that reveal in the middle of the film. The same goes with Bond having a kid. It's not this big reveal at the end of the film. It's the idea of Bond having a kid gets planted the moment Bond arrives in Norway. It's at that moment it's still not clear if it's his kid, but the idea that Bond could have a kid is mentioned there, and it's not at the end of the film like it's a big reveal. It's not. Christoph Waltz going, I'm Stavro Blofeld. It's not treated like that, and I think they've learned their lesson from Spectre to organically build up to those reveals. Same with the death of Felix. Let's talk about that for a second. Felix Dies. I had predicted that Felix would die. Yes, he's Jeffrey Wright is back, and he's back to die. But they handled it very let's say very, very meaningful as well, and very profound. I think that's what I was looking for. It's they don't hit you in the head with Felix being dead. Felix is dead. It's not like that. It's they build up to it. He gets injured, and you think, well, he might survive or he might die, and then eventually he dies. And I think that kind of reveal works, or that kind of death works best, I think. It's the same with Judi Dench's M in Skyfall. She gets shot, and you think, well, people get shot in these films, and Bond gets shot every single scene, and you know, if this were Roger Moore, he wouldn't have a scratch. But then she goes down to the priest hall, and you see she's actually badly injured, and from that moment you think, well, she might die, and then eventually she does. So I think having a build up to a death works, and it really works in this film. It works. The build up to Felix's death is great, and then building up eventually to Bond's self-sacrifice, it works. It really works. Yes. I don't know. Let's talk characters a bit. I want Nomi and the whole 007 thing. Yeah, of course she's 007. We've of course she is. And the funny thing is, like, the tabloids made a big deal out of it. Oh, it's a black woman is 007. Ooh. The film actually makes fun of it, and that's amazing. Like the dialogue between Lashana Lynch and Daniel Craig is so on point and so funny. It is great. There's like he's disgruntled about she being 007, and then he gets back and she's disgruntled, and then she eventually comes around. And I like the idea of there being two 007s at the same time. That's just fun. We were all thinking, like, will she get demoted then? Well, Bond would get his number back. That would be weird for Bond to be just James Bond and not get his 007 number back in the entire film, and sure enough, he does get it back. But she doesn't get another number. She also stays 007, and I think they handled that beautifully. It very, very creatively handled. I guess we have to talk about Safin and his plot. I think it was all right. It was all right. I think the plot is good. I think that the virus that spreads when people are touching each other, I think that is... they couldn't have predicted it, but it is very, very timely. I think it's a well-designed villain plot with some eventual flaws, but I'll get to that. I think Safin as a villain, however, Rami Malek he's a great actor, and there are some very lovely dialogues between him and Bond, and him and Madeline, and he does those monologues he has very, very well. But he just... I think apart from the opening with the mask, I think that felt very menacing. And I didn't get the same strong vibes I got with Le Chiffre or Silva as an adversary for Bond who truly can get under Bond's skin psychologically, but also can command people, or can be this larger than life figure. A lot of that is they've tried to build up to that as well. I feel there's a lot of talk about, well, he's killing Spectre and he's more powerful than Blofeld. Yet in the end, I felt that was missing a bit. Yes. Most certainly. Léa Seydoux as Madeleine Swann, I think she's brilliant. She's way better than Inspector. She actually gets things to do and things to react to, and she gets to show her range as a very much in love person in the beginning of the film, a very much confused person, a scared person. Whereas I think her performance in Spectre was a little bit a one note, or a bit... She pulled her defenses in Spectre, which made her feel... or which very, very flat, almost. And I think her character letting her guard down a bit and letting play with these emotions, also with her daughter coming in, I think that works. And I think Léa Seydoux is a great actress. So I'm glad she brought her A game to this. What else do I need to talk about? Ana de Armas. Oh God, I loved her. I absolutely. Oh, I adored her. She was bubbly and spunky and witty, and her character. She played a character, Paloma, with a certain nervousness, which I really, really loved, which contrasted the old dog that Daniel Craig's Bond has become. in that scene, and that was amazing, amazing to see. Yeah, I think a lot of people will say this. The only sad thing is that she wasn't in the film for very long. I would have loved to see more. I have no idea where they could have fitted her into the story more. But I would have loved to see more of her. Who else do we have? Which I haven't. The MI6 regulars. Naomi Harris is great as always. I really like her Moneypenny. Ray Fiennes does an incredibly great job at what he's given. He's given, I think, I was going to say a lot of the most that M has ever gotten, but then I remembered Skyfall. So no, I think in terms of what M as a character is allowed to do on screen, I think Judi Dench is very much the center of Skyfall. But then comes this performance, I think, of Ray Fiennes as an M who has the most to do in a film. I think the emotions that he shows and the choices he has made and what influence they have on the plot work, and Ray Fiennes is a terrific actor, and I would hate to lose him. Same goes for Ben Whishaw. God, Ben Whishaw is so great. He just lights up the whole room with his. He plays Q very adorable, he's such a delight. I think he's found his voice as Q, and I really hope he continues into the next films. I think that will depend on what type of Bond they will go for, and if that pairs well with the Q that Ben Whishaw has created. But I hope he continues. David Densick. I think we need to talk about David Densick for a second. Who plays the scientist Valdo Abruchev, I think, yes. I did not expect him to be in this film for this much. He's clearly the comic relief character, and he does some very, very stupid things. But I think it worked. I think some scenes with him were a little bit drawn out for comedy's sake. But I think it also is deflection to Safin's side, I think, works. Here I think that's believable. I love that. Let's see, is there any character we haven't talked about? I think Primo, indeed, Dali Ben Salah's character, Primo. I can be short on that. I think he's a good henchman, with a quirky gadget with that eye. That eye is a great invention. I think he was good. I don't think he was as spectacular as, say, Jaws or anything, but he was good. He was good. I think in terms of the filmmaking, that film just, it goes by like a tank. It's a tank. It's a tank. It's the action is visceral, and it is brutal, and it is honest, and you get pounded, and you just feel it in the action, and it is brutal, and it is filmed very, very well. I love the cinematography. I'm a big fan of overhead shots. It's something that Bond hasn't done very much, but for some reason I think that's down to the cinematographer, to Linus Sandgren. I think the use of overhead shots in this film, great, absolutely great. We've seen it in the trailers, that moment that Bond's Land Rover passes beneath the helicopter in Denmark. Great scene, great shot. There are a few more overhead shots. I remember when Bond arrives in London, you get an overhead shot of the car driving down the road. I think that was very inventive. We've mostly seen that filmed from the front, like Bond's car arriving, and seeing that from above, I think was a great perspective. Things like that. I really enjoyed the cinematography of this film. The music, Hans Zimmer, man, and that's cool. I think that there was a scene where I thought, well, yes, this is pure Zimmer. This is up there with Inception and Interstellar. I can't remember which scene it was, but there was a scene when the music kicked in, and I thought, well, yeah, that's the Zimmer sound. But that was one scene. It wasn't like I've heard someone refer to the Zimmer sound as two whales mating in an underpass. But that wasn't this film at all. It was very John Barry-esque even, and the reuse of the themes, most notably We Have All the Time in the World, but also the On Her Majesty's Secret Service theme. I was also waiting for John Barry's 007 theme to show up, and that did not happen. But like the homages to John Barry and to David Arnold, we got Bond goes to Vesper's grave, and we hear the Vesper team, David Arnold. I don't think it's I should have checked the end credits. I'm not sure if it's a new arrangement by Zimmer, because it sounded awfully close to the original. I think they've just taken the Casino Royale score and put it in. I should have re-listened. But that was, I just went, yes, of course, and I was already miffed that they didn't do it with Spectre the moment that Bond takes out that interrogation tape. In Spectre, and they don't play the Vesper theme, and I was already like, you could have done that for like 2 seconds. Come on, just give me the theme for 2 seconds. And now Zimmer has done that in this film, and that's great. That's great. That's yes, it's fan service. Yes, it might feel cheap, but who cares? Really, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this series, and sometimes I like to be serviced. I think the Bond theme was used well. I think Billie Eilish's theme, that was also very, very poignant. It reminded me of the theme of course I've heard it like months, years ago. So I knew the theme. I knew the theme by heart by now. The way they use the theme in the score is felt for me similar like the Spectre theme, Writings on the Wall. You get that one reprise of Writings on the Wall the moment that Madeleine and Bond kiss in the train. And I think the theme gets used here in romantic moments in regards to Bond and Madeleine. Which is weird because the lyrics of the theme are actually a breakup theme. Or so much as a I don't trust you theme. But it works as an instrumental piece on its own to support those romantic moments, I think. Yes. So I love that. We've talked about the opening theme, so I think it's only logical we're talking about the titles as well, the opening titles by Daniel Kleinman. God, they're great! They're great! I mean, there is some imagery used, I think, which I only understand now. I think you get the Heracles statue in there a few times, which is Heracles is the name of the program that M developed and Sefin gets his hands on. So I get that reference now. There are also some things that have to do with DNA, which is a big plot point of the film, obviously. Some things I didn't recognize. As an hourglass, I think. Well, because of the title, No Time to Die. That was a bit literal for my tastes, but I really liked it. I liked the imagery, and of course, you know, you've got the Billie Eilish lyric, "Faces from My Past Return," and then that moment, like you got Madeleine and Blofeld and Vesper, and I was like, yeah, of course, there's Vesper. You know he's going to bloody do it, and he's done it. You know, there's Vesper. Thank you very much. Can I just my bingo card? Yes, Vesper, check. Obviously, thank you, Daniel Kleinman. So, yes, I think compared to the other Daniel Craig title sequences, I also loved it that they used animation a lot. They didn't use, I think they didn't use like Daniel Craig as Bond. They used like a black figure as Bond, which to me harked a bit back to the opening titles for Casino Royale. And opening with the colored dots, that Dr. No reference, it's really come full circle in the imagery they used in the pre-title sequence. For the Daniel Craig films, as well as the whole series going back to Dr. No. Same goes, obviously, for the imagery in Safin's Lair, which is very much based on Ken Adams' design for Dr. No. I thought they would do more with that. I for sure was convinced that Safin would be Dr. No. Now that I've seen the film, I'm glad they did not do that. Let's see which things I haven't talked about. I think the action is great. There's a lot of shooting. The end, like the bunker, and it goes on and on and on. I think they maybe could have cut some of that, like Bond and Nomi storming Safin's bunker, and Bond then at the end trying to shoot his way through waves and waves and waves of mercenaries. I think they could have tightened that up a bit. I like the Norway action as well. I think Bond shooting down the cars and Land Rover, I think that worked. But to me, I think the best action scene isn't a pre-titles. It is Matera. It is immediately car chase with the DB5. I think that is the best action scene of the film. And it's sad that it is so incredibly close to the beginning of the film. It's not to say that the other action scenes weren't good, but I think yeah, the Matera sequence was the one I liked most. Yes. And also, yeah, it felt the most classic Bond of the action sequences. I think the action sequences in this film felt really rough around the edges, and I think that it works in this film. It works in this film. But that's why it's so hard for me to place this film within the Bond universe. I think, you know, it is a Bond film, and I think it works as the closure of Daniel Craig's 5 films. I think it works as a closure of that. I'm just questioning if it works within the whole series, within the 25 films. I think people often refer to films like Octopussy or Tomorrow Never Dies or Thunderball or Goldfinger as like go-to Bond films to put on and relax and enjoy watching. With the emotional roller coaster that it is, and especially the ending, this is not a film that you could just watch. I think people said that about Skyfall, about M dying at the end, but I think Skyfall at least has some action scenes that really scream Bond. It's Bond with a capital B, and this works for this film. It works for the vibe for this film, and therefore it is a very good film. But I just don't know if it works if it works within the Bond universe, within those films that came before it, within I can't wait to see the film again. I really want to stress that. I really want to say I want to see the film again because it was a great film. But it is a great film, but a good Bond film. I think that it's a great film, but a good Bond film. Yes. If that makes any sense. I've started these thoughts with the end, and I'm going to end with the beginning. The gun barrel. They just can't give Craig a normal gun barrel. They just, I mean, yes, it is stylish. It is, you know, they open into the white of the snow, but come on, could they just not give Craig a proper gun barrel for once, like the blood trickling down? No, I mean, I get what they're trying to do, but I just wanted a proper gun barrel for once. I also thought like the design of the gun barrel itself, like the threads was a bit flat, a bit thin, and I think that's something that Daniel Craig's gun barrels all have had. I don't know if that was like a stylistic choice by Daniel Kleinman to do the gun barrel. this way now, and if that will continue into Bond 26, and we'll keep getting variations of the gun barrel that isn't really the gun barrel anymore, with a design that it feels a bit flat. Perhaps, I don't know. I thought Craig's walk was good. Craig's walk was good. So let's end on a positive note here. Craig's walk was good. I think that's it for my ramblings. Hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you agree with some points I've made, if you disagree with that. This being a spoiler video, I think you can just go wild in the comments with what you thought about the film. Just go wild, and for people who haven't seen the film and who have watched it until now, it was a really stupid choice, I think. See you around, Bond fans.